Hello, hello. Oops. That ain't good. Hello. Hey, how's everyone going? How's everyone going? How's everyone doing? Alright, let's see if I can just... Hope everyone's had a good week. Hello. Sorry, almost got this taken care of. Oops. Come on. There we go. Okay, welcome to Video Drone. With DisRegarding Henry. Yeah. So, we're going to talk about movies. I was wondering what you think about the films of Wes Anderson. His films look, sound incredible on Criterion Blu-ray. That they do. Yeah, so I've got films I want to talk about, but yeah, I kind of want to warm up a little bit first, get into it. So yeah, Wes Anderson. I think I've posted videos on him before, way back when, I think when the channel was first starting, but Wes Anderson was one it took me a long time to really get. He's got a very particular style, and I guess if you're not quite in sync with it, then his movies, I don't know, can just fly right over your head. That's the way it was for me for the longest time. What did I watch? I watched Royal Tenenbaums, Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, and Life Aquatic. And yeah, it was just one of those things that I did not get for the longest time. I didn't really understand the humor. I didn't really like the style so much, but eventually, the more of his films I started to watch, I think around the time I saw Moonrise Kingdom, I finally started getting it. Things started clicking for me. And then I went back to his other stuff. I rewatched Bottle Rocket and ended up really liking it. I rewatched Rushmore, really liked it. Royal Tenenbaums. Life Aquatic, I'm still kind of half and half on. There's things in Life Aquatic that I think are great, and other things that I think are kind of, I don't know, fall a little bit short. But now, yeah, I think he's a brilliant director, a genius. Really, the stuff he does, nobody else would do that. If there wasn't a Wes Anderson, we wouldn't have those movies. Nobody else could have done them. And yeah, they look great on Blu-ray. Anderson's, his films are very visual, very carefully composed. I mean, every color, every prop, every little touch is there for a very specific reason. And yeah, you watch it on Blu-ray on a nice size screen, they look fantastic. So yeah, I was a while getting on board with Wes Anderson, but I finally got there. I still haven't seen his new one either. What was that one called? Something Hotel? Grand Budapest Hotel. That's what it was, yeah. I still haven't seen that one. I need to get around to it. I keep seeing clips and it looks amazing. You just see like little frame grabs from it. It's like, wow, that is stunning. I was the same. Takes a while to appreciate. Yeah, he's one of those ones, isn't he? He's so offbeat. He's so unconventional, and this is kind of an irritating word, but quirky. He's very quirky. But yeah, once it starts to click, yeah, then his films are really enjoyable. They're a lot of fun. And very touching, too. Like the ending to Bottle Rocket, I've always found really beautiful. That slow motion shot of Owen Wilson walking away. Very touching. And yeah, Royal Tenenbaums, too. Those final scenes with Gene Hackman. That's heartbreaking. Took me a while to get there, but now, yeah, I can appreciate the pleasures of a Wes Anderson movie. Oh, your thoughts on Jean Delman? 23, oh, I can't speak French. 23 Commerce Quay, 1080 Brussels. Yeah, I did watch that one a little while back. I'm not that familiar with Chantal Akerman. What is she? She's not Dutch, is she? Maybe she is. I can't remember where she's from. Maybe she is Dutch. Brussels? What would that be? I can't think right now. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've seen a couple of her movies. She's one of those ones too. I don't think I'm quite getting what she's going after yet. But I did watch Jeanne Delman a little while back, and that's, God, that one's like 4 hours long, isn't it? Just kind of about the day-to-day life of this housewife. So it's a challenging movie to watch. I don't think I really got it the first time. But it's one I'm curious to go back to and try again. Sort of like Tarkovsky, you know? I feel like there was really something there that just didn't quite click for me, and I want to give it another try. Her films are interesting, though. But yeah, I haven't really seen one that really that I really understood yet. You know, I understood. I know exactly what she's going for here, and I love it. It was kind of like I wasn't able to quite figure it out. The films of hers that I watched. Watch Don't Think Twice, absolute brilliance. Hey, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I really liked that one. Any other movies like that? Don't Think Twice? I'm not sure. Maybe Sleepwalk with Me? That's the other film that Mike Birbiglia has made. It's not as good as Don't Think Twice, but I think it's definitely got its strengths. And if you like comedy, Don't Think Twice is really good at showing you the way an improv comedy group functions. Sleepwalk with Me, by the same token, is really good at showing you how the life of a stand-up comic works. You know, life on the road, going from place to place, struggling to, you know, get your money and your pay, figuring out, yeah, where you're going to go, working on a joke. That one, yeah, is a pretty interesting look into the life of a road comic. Not as good as Don't Think Twice. Yeah, it doesn't really have the same emotional impact at the end, but I think it's still good. Can't really think of any others offhand. French Blu-ray release of The Handmaiden includes both the director's cut and the theatrical cut. Director's cut is 20 minutes longer than the theatrical cut. I didn't know there was a director's cut. The movie's already pretty long, isn't it? It's like 2.5 hours. So that'd be about 3 hours with the extra footage. I might have to check that out. That sounds interesting. I haven't seen any Park Chan-wook director's cuts yet. I haven't seen the Thirst director's cut. Handmaiden, I didn't even know there was a director's cut. I love his movies, though. I think he's one of the best directors working right now. But there are some amazing directors coming out of South Korea right now, just over the last couple of years. Like Bong Joon-ho is another brilliant one. Just like every film he does is just incredible. He's got the new one, too, that just premiered at Cannes, called Okja. It's got like Tilda Swinton and Jake Gyllenhaal. And yeah, there's been some controversy over that one because he made it for Netflix. And Cannes, I guess, they're really against playing stuff that is made for a streaming platform. They think, I guess, a film has to have a theatrical release in order to be considered, I guess, a real film. I haven't really kept up with it, but yeah, I guess there were a lot of people that were upset that a Netflix film was playing at the Cannes Film Festival, but they managed to get it through, and then I guess there were some technical issues, and people booed the movie, but then once they got it all figured out, I guess it turned out the movie went over really well. The film itself, from what I've heard, is supposed to be really good, and I think Bong Joon-ho is brilliant, so I'm really excited to see this one. Grand Budapest is one of his best. That's what I keep hearing. My brother saw it. He loved it, so I'm going to have to get around to seeing it, hopefully soon. I know only the theatrical cut is on the US Blu-ray. Yeah, we didn't get the Thirst director's cut over here either. Director's cut was shown in cinemas in the UK, so here's hoping we get that longer version. It's a real shame that only French subtitles are on the French Blu-ray, though. Otherwise, I would snap that up. I wish I had a region-free player to get all these cool Blu-rays and DVDs from around the world with stuff that I don't get here. It's always interesting to me. There's like, what was I look? I think I was looking at like a German box set of all the films of Takashi Kitano, which we have hardly any of those over here in the U.S. I think a company recently released his first two on Blu-ray, Violent Cop and Boiling Point, which are really good. I'd like to get those, but they're kind of pricey, and I just don't have that kind of money. But I was on eBay, I think, and I saw like this German box set. It had like Fireworks and Sonatine, and like all his best movies. And I was like, oh, I want to get that so badly, but I don't have a player that can play it. Watched Personal Shopper? I haven't. Yeah, that's the Olivier Assayas, if I'm saying that correctly. One of his latest movies. I haven't seen too many of his films, but he's an interesting filmmaker. I've seen a couple of his movies. I saw one that the Criterion Collection put out on Blu-ray called Summer Hours. It had Juliette Binoche in it. I don't really remember too much of that one. It was a really low-key, like, family drama. I remember it being good, but it didn't really leave like a lasting impression on me. But one film of his that I saw that I actually thought was pretty good was Carlos, the film he did about Carlos the Jackal. It's like this 5-hour sprawling epic. That's a pretty impressive movie. And Edgar Ramirez is really great in the lead role. That's another Criterion Blu-ray that I've had for a while. And yeah, you watch all the episodes of that. It's just, wow, the scope of it is enormous. It's kind of hard, yeah, to keep track of just the sequence of events, all the characters, and the political intrigue going on. I had to watch it twice before I was able to, like, vaguely follow what was going on, but it's pretty good. Yeah, I want to see more of his movies. I know Clouds of Silmaria, I think it's called. I think Kristen Stewart, she's in Personal Shopper. I think she's also in Clouds of Silmaria, and Juliette Binoche as well. I want to watch that one. I'll have to try and make some time to watch that fairly soon. Oh, I just saw The Lady Vanishes, and you were right. Hitchcock might have a suspenseful way of shooting films, but they are kind of slow, and his films have silly comic reliefs. Yeah, I've never really been able to fully embrace Hitchcock. I can appreciate the place he holds in film history. I can acknowledge that he's one of the most influential and important filmmakers in the history of cinema. I fully acknowledge that. But personally, every time I've watched one of his movies, there are maybe a few things that I can say, like, okay, well, that's really good. That the way he uses sound, especially in the earliest days of sound, is really impressive. You know, having a woman scream turn into a train whistle, and then you cut to, yeah, the train going down the tracks, and then you continue on with the story. Those transitions, the way he was thinking, you know, in really cinematic terms, the way nobody had at that point. Yeah, it's really innovative, and I acknowledge that, but I just don't think his movies have dated very well, and they're just a little too meticulous. I don't tend to get really invested in the stories. I don't tend to get really invested in the characters, and yeah, I just find his movies very cold and sterile. But that's just me. I know a lot of people disagree with me, but yeah, that's been my reaction to just about every Hitchcock film I've seen. Fireworks is brilliant? Yes, it is. I really want to see it again. But, like, the DVDs are all out of print in the US. That's why I wanted to get that German thing, the German Blu-ray, because you can't really find his movies anymore. You can't really find any of Kitano's movies anymore in the US. It sucks. Try living in Australia. I find it so hard to get many fantastic films on Blu-ray or DVD. Really? Well, I'm sorry for all you Australians. That sounds awful. Your thoughts on Francois Ozon? Ozon? Again, I'm so bad with the names. I apologize. Oh gosh. Have I seen any of his movies? I know of him. I think I saw one movie of his. It was called Young and Beautiful, I think that's what it was. I saw it on Netflix. I remember it being good. To be honest, I don't really remember much of what happened in it. I remember liking it, but yeah, when I think back, trying to remember specific things, nothing really comes to mind. Yeah, I need to see more of his work. He's one I'm not very familiar with. For the recent 3D re-release of Jurassic Park, as well as removing wires and lights that were accidentally in frame, they changed Jeff Goldblum's hair from messy to combed. The reason being that the hair strands were too much work for the rotoscoping involved in the 3D processing. That makes sense. I've heard of stuff like that before. That's kind of funny that they do that, though. That's weird. I don't know. I guess it would look weird in 3D to see, like, wires and everything. I don't know. I always hate when they alter stuff and change stuff. But I guess with 3D, maybe it's a little bit necessary. It's kind of like how with a lot of older movies, like when they get released on Blu-ray, the digital mastering, the picture quality is so sharp and so detailed that you can actually see a lot of rough edges and wires and, like tape on the set, things that weren't meant to be seen on the original theatrical release. And I've talked about this before. Terry Gilliam went into detail on it when he was talking about Time Bandits being released on Blu-ray, that back in those days, 80s and earlier, before there was high definition, directors were kind of used to being able to hide certain things, because when you would shoot a movie, you would have the camera negative, which is the original, it's the original film, the highest possible quality, but nobody would actually see the film in that highest possible quality. You would make a print off of the negative, so it's a generation degraded. So there's a more grain, there's a little bit less sharpness, a little bit less detail, and directors relied upon that with a lot of physical effects to hide certain things, that degeneration of quality, by making the print. But now you can just go directly to the camera negative, scan that, make a digital intermediate, and put that out on Blu-ray, so that means you're seeing a lot of stuff you shouldn't be able to see. So he kind of had to defend his decision to use digital effects to erase certain things in Time Bandits and some of his other movies. But yeah, I guess new technology is perhaps making stuff like that necessary. I'm not sure. I guess you can go either way on it. And 3D, yeah, probably has its own things that you have to... certain things you have to work around or try to edit out. That's kind of funny about the hair, though. That's really funny. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just kind of against the idea of turning 3D or 2D movies into 3D anyway. It seems kind of unnecessary. I think Jurassic Park works just fine in 2D, but I guess some people, they need something they can watch on their 3D televisions. I don't know, that's funny. The Scream... Oh, the Scream to Train was copied by Spielberg in Jurassic Park 2. I don't remember that. Yeah. I can't, yeah. Oh, no, wait. I kind of remember. Yeah, at the beginning, that's right. Yeah, when... Yeah, there's that family on the island and the little girl gets attacked by the dinosaurs. Yeah. The woman's scream turns into Jeff Goldblum's yawn. I do remember that. That's funny, I forgot about that. Will you see the Swar and Loveless? I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure what that's referring to. Loveless. Yeah, I'm not sure, what movies you're referring to there, or movie. Sorry. Let's see what else we can... I'll talk about the movies in a second, but yeah, this is a good warm-up, get my brain working. Also, they changed the smoke for Sam Jackson's cigarette smoke, too. Interesting. I guess that'd be another thing, kind of hard to convert to 3D. Yeah, to me, this is just reasons not to convert stuff to 3D. But, the industry is the industry. Yes, you can see too much that gives away the special effects shots on the Back to the Future Blu-rays because of the extra definition. Yeah. I know Star Wars is kind of the same way too. I think initially that's why George Lucas was altering the movies was because you could see matte lines and different stuff like that. And so I think I'm not sure, but I think it started out that he just wanted to erase a lot of that stuff to make it to look smoother on higher quality formats, and then it just kind of snowballed, and then he just started altering a lot of stuff. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but I imagine that had something to do with it. Once he realized you could alter things, and it was kind of like, wait a minute, let's see how far I can go with this. But I think that's a cautionary tale, that you don't want to mess with the movie too much. Just kind of leave it as is. Okay, so maybe we should start talking about some of the movies we're here to talk about. Oh, I meant Loveless, directed by Andrei Zvyagintsev. Oh gosh, sorry about that. And The Square, directed by Ruben Ostlund. Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with either of those. I'll have to look them up. Ruben Ostlund, he directed, if I'm remembering correctly, he directed Force Majeure, didn't he? That was a really good movie. Yeah, didn't know he had another one coming out. Alright, I'll write those down. I'll have to look into them. The Square and Loveless. Okay. The way you feel about Hitchcock is similar to how I feel about Spielberg. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't really care for his work. And yes, he did Force Majeure. Okay, great. Yeah, that was a really good one. I liked Force Majeure. Very dark, but very funny too. The Jurassic Park 3D transfer is amazing looking, though. Well, I guess that's good. I've never had a 3D TV, so I've never been able to see how 3D looks just on a Blu-ray. I've seen some, I've seen maybe like 2 movies in theaters in 3D that really impressed me. For the most part, yeah, I don't think it's really that impressive. I don't think it really adds much to the experience. I saw Pacific Rim in 3D. It's kind of like, whatever. I saw Mad Max in 3D. I think I did. Pretty sure I saw it in 3D. It was kind of like, whatever. But Ang Lee's Life of Pi I saw in 3D, and that blew me away. And Gaspar Noé's Love I saw in 3D, and that was another one. Blew me away. Looked unbelievable on a big screen in 3D. Yeah, both of those looked incredible. Those are the 2 best uses of 3D I've ever seen, personally. But yeah, just about everything else I haven't been too impressed by. And I've never seen 3D Blu-ray. Okay. So, let's talk about, let's see, do I want to talk about the BFG first? Since we're talking about Spielberg. I think, let's start with Yakuza Apocalypse. This is a Takashi Miike movie. Came out in like 2015, I think it was. And yeah, since then, in the 2 years since this movie came out, he's directed like 5 additional movies. The guy's insane. I don't know how he manages to be as prolific as he is. He does like 3 movies a year. It's incredible. I guess the Japanese film industry is set up in such a way that you can just direct non-stop. I don't think you could do that if you were in the American film industry. But I've kind of talked about Miike's films a little bit before. He's been one that I've been very resistant to. Kind of like Wes Anderson, I guess. But I don't know if it's just because there's something I'm not getting, or if it's just because I don't think he's a very good director. I'm not sure yet. But Yakuza Apocalypse did kind of give me some additional things to consider, because it is a very well-made movie, I have to admit. So I don't think it's that... So I think probably whatever reservations I have with his work, it's probably not for lack of talent, because he's clearly very good at what he does. And It's just most of the films of his that I've seen, I just haven't really enjoyed. I didn't really like Ishi the Killer. I didn't really like Audition. I didn't really like 13 Assassins. I know that was one a lot of people really loved, but I didn't really care for it. I'm trying to think of what else of his I've seen. I've maybe seen one or two others. There was a really weird Yakuza action film he did called Deadly Outlaw Rekka. That was from like 2002, I think. It had Sonny Chiba in it. That one I actually did enjoy. Of all the films of his I've seen, that's been, so far, I think the one I've liked the most. It was just this wild, insane, like Yakuza action film with a lot of really surreal, darkly comic touches. There's stuff from that one that I still remember, and that definitely left an impression on me. Like, there's a sequence at the beginning where like a Yakuza boss is being assassinated, and he I don't know, how do you explain this, but like as his assassin is killing him, he gets his hands around the guy's throat, and then once the guy finally kills him, he can't get the hands off his throat, so he ends up just having to cut the hands off at the wrist, and he spends basically the rest of the movie with these severed hands around his throat. And that's such a strange, odd detail, but it's so memorable, and it's such a funny, surreal image. So there are touches like that in his movies that I don't think anybody else would really think to include. So there are a few things that I appreciate about his style, but I guess for the most part, I don't know. It's maybe he's just too dark, too violent. I'm not sure what it is. But Yakuza Apocalypse, I actually ended up enjoying. Oh. Do you know of Taboo, the series written by and starring Tom Hardy and the world's most beautiful woman, Una Chaplin? I've heard of it. I don't know much about it, though. All I know is that it's a series starring Tom Hardy. That's about it, though. And have you seen Three Extremes? It's an anthology horror movie with a segment by Miike, as well as Chan-wook Park. I have seen Three Extremes, for which, from what I understand, is actually Three Extremes 2. But yeah, this is the way kind of like foreign distribution works. I think, if I remember correctly, there was a Three Extremes, and then a Three Extremes 2, which did a lot better than Three Extremes 1, so Three Extremes 2 was released in the US as Three Extremes, and then Three Extremes 1, after Three Extremes 2 was a success, Three Extremes 1 was released as Three Extremes 2. It's very confusing, but it's kind of fun to delve into that history a little bit. Kind of like how Dawn of the Dead was released in Italy as Zombie, and then Lucio Fulci did Zombie 2, and then Zombie 2 was released in the US as Zombie 1. I kind of love needlessly complicated stuff like that. It's kind of fun for me to try and figure it out. But yes, I did see Three Extremes. I didn't really care for that one so much. I'm trying to remember. I remember not even caring for Park Chan-wook's segment very much. But I guess it was interesting. There were some interesting things. Yeah, I remember Miike's one was about the contortionists who get trapped in the box, right? I might have to watch that one again. It's been so long since I've seen it. Yeah, and I don't really... there was another one by Fruit Chan? I'm not sure how you say his name. The Dumplings. I remember that one having some really disturbing stuff in it, too. Yeah, I might have to check it out again. I saw it a long, long time ago. Taboo is produced by Ridley Scott and made by Stephen Knight, who made Locke with Tom Hardy, too. I still haven't seen Locke. I need to see that one. Oh, yeah, the email about the sleeves. Yeah, I'll get around to that. Sorry it's taking me so long. But yeah, anyway, Miike, Yakuza Apocalypse. I had seen a trailer for this one and had heard that it was really crazy, and I love, Japanese films, and especially kind of weirder, like cult Japanese movies. Of course, I talk a lot about Japanese cyberpunk is one of my favorite subgenres. Miike's one was with the contortionists. Yeah, I vaguely recall that one. It's been so long since I've seen it, though. I think the image that stood out of all three segments in that one, the image that stood out most to me was in Park Chan-wook's segment with the woman tied up with the piano wire. That was a really striking image. I can still remember that. Everything else is kind of vague in my memory, so I think I'd need to go back and revisit it. Yeah, so I kind of went into Yakuza Apocalypse maybe not really expecting to enjoy it so much, and of all the Miike films I've seen so far, this is actually one I ended up enjoying the most. I don't know if I liked it more than Deadly Outlaw Rekka, but it was about on the same level for me, where it was so wild and crazy and surreal and unusual that I sort of got a kick out of it, despite the things, I guess, that I am consistently frustrated by in Miike's films. Like, for instance, I think all of his films go on for way too long. He has a tendency to kind of meander in places and to just extend stories, I think, past the point where they wear out their welcome. I think Yakuza Apocalypse is no exception. The ending sequence especially is just interminable. It goes on and on and on. So there are things I could criticize that are pretty consistent with the things I tend to criticize about Miike's movies, but I have to admit that this was a really entertaining movie. It's wild and insane. It switches genres basically on the fly from scene to scene. You never know what's going to happen next. And I have to admit that's sort of enjoyable to watch. It's basically the storyline revolves around a Yakuza gang with this boss that turns out to be a vampire, and he's tracked down by this group that is sort of mysterious. I never really understood what exactly they were trying to do, but this group tracks him down. They kill him. Just before he dies, he bites one of his most loyal followers, henchmen, whatever you would call it, turns him into a vampire, makes him the new leader of the gang, and basically it's his job to try and take out this group, whatever they are. It's crazy. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's Yakuza vampires, and there's it's basically Yakuza vampires fighting all kinds of strange mythical creatures from Japanese folklore. So it's insane. It's part gangster movie, it's part comedy, it's part horror, it's part action movie, it's part kung fu movie. It's just a wild anarchic ride. Film, I'm talking about Yakuza Apocalypse by Takashi Miike, Japanese film. But yeah, I will definitely say, for whatever I could criticize about this movie, that that it goes on too long, that it is confusing, that it doesn't make any sense. I will say this is the only movie I have ever seen with a Yakuza vampire kung fu fighting a man in a frog suit. This is definitely the only film I've ever seen with a scene like that. There's the main antagonist in this movie is just this guy that is dressed in a cartoon frog suit, and he's somehow the most dangerous killer in the movie, and he's like this fearsome presence, but he's in this silly cartoon frog suit. And I guess what I loved about this, I guess what separated this film from like other films of its type, that are just crazy for the sake of being crazy, is that Miike actually seemed really committed to treating this seriously. I mean, there is a sense of humor throughout the entire film. There is a lot of comedy in it, but it seemed for the most part Miike was trying to sell it, straight-faced. And I actually really appreciate how daring that is, to not take an ironic stance with a story like this. To not, I guess, try to do it like Sharknado. If Americans do something like this, it's got to be like Sharknado. It's got to be really ironic and self-referential, and it's got to be like a conscious parody. Miike doesn't really do that. He, the suit. Miike, he tries to treat it as seriously as possible, and there are elements of humor that sneak through, But for the most part, he just tries to be completely straight-faced with it. And I actually really like that. Because that takes guts, to not be really ironic with this stuff. To actually say, you know what, I'm actually going to try and make this scene like really tense and really suspenseful and really creepy. I'm actually going to try and give it a really solid atmosphere and tone. And I'm going to have the actors fully committed to it. I'm not going to have them winking at the camera or trying to be funny or silly. I'm just going to have them play it totally straight as a drama. And so it almost works. Or I guess in a way I would say it does work. Because I did enjoy this movie. Not all the way through. Again, I think it's too long. There are sections that kind of drag. But I think if anybody else had done this, I don't think it would have worked as well as it does in Miike's hands. There are sections that are pretty genuinely good. Like there are sections that are genuinely suspenseful, that work as a really thickly atmospheric horror movie. There are action scenes that are really well done. There are dramatic scenes that are sold surprisingly well. And just the absurd imagery just comes at you constantly. And there are moments that are pretty genuinely funny. I like the way the guy in the frog suit is treated, that he somehow, anytime he's fighting somebody, he is able to, defend and attack with absolutely no difficulty whatsoever. But there's a scene where he has to go down a flight of stairs, and he can't see the stairs, and so he's kind of like blindly feeling his way down the stairs, and he has to have people help him down the stairs. So I kind of like that too, that occasionally the movie will acknowledge the fact that he's this guy in a frog suit, and then at other times it seems to like just be ignoring that fact. So it's fun. If you like Japanese films, cult, weird oddities like this, or you like Takashi Miike's work, it's probably worth tracking down. I did have fun with this one, and it kind of makes me curious to go back and try and watch some of Miike's other work too, like Ishi the Killer and Audition maybe too. Maybe I might finally be kind of like with Wes Anderson. I might finally start to be understanding whatever it is he's trying to do, or maybe just kind of clicking with the style a little bit more. But yeah, it seems I'm kind of starting to warm up to his films a little bit. But Yakuza Apocalypse I watched on Amazon Prime. It's streaming. If you have an Amazon Prime membership, you can check it out there if you want to see it too. Vice Films bought The Beach Bum by Harmony Korine and starring Matthew McConaughey. I saw that, and frankly, I was a little astonished. I didn't think the movie would actually get made, but apparently it's happening. Matthew McConaughey and Harmony Korine together at last. I love Harmony Korine, so any new film of his is okay by me. But yeah, to be honest, I'm surprised that it's actually happening. I thought it would end up being like that the Marlon Wayans one he was going to do, which I think I mentioned before, where Marlon Wayans was going to play a hitman who dresses up like a dollar bill. I figured it would end up like that one, just one of these crazy ideas he has that is sort of like floating around a little bit and then just kind of ends up vanishing. But it looks like it's going to happen, so that's cool. About time. I've been waiting for a while now for a new Harmony Korine movie. I just this minute sent you Taboo. Hope you enjoy it. Oh no, is it pirated? Ah, come on, man. I can't do that. I try to avoid that as much as possible. All right, I'm sorry. I try to support the industry. All right, no judgment to anybody. But I just can't. I can't do that. I'm sorry. Stephen Knight also created Peaky Blinders, which Tom Hardy is also in. I've been hearing a lot about Peaky Blinders. No, not pirated. You sure? I don't know. I love that the zombies were done seriously in Shaun of the Dead rather than playing it for laughs. Yeah, it's sort of like that, actually, now that you bring it up. Kind of like how Shaun of the Dead is both a satire and at the same time a serious drama. You know, they have fun with the zombie genre, but at the same time, yeah, they play it pretty straight-faced in a lot of those scenes. Like, genuinely trying to sell the drama. Sort of like that. Maybe, yeah, I would say Yakuza Apocalypse is a lot crazier than Shaun of the Dead. It takes a lot more very bold chances than Shaun of the Dead, but it's similar, yeah, that mix of comedy and parody, and, yeah, serious drama. Is it recommended for the casual Miike fan, if there really is such a thing, like myself? Haven't seen many of his films, but I enjoy Gozu and Visitor Q very much. I guess so. It's not one of his, like, really disturbing ones. I think Miike probably first, like, really built his reputation as this director of the most violent, most disturbing movies you'll ever see, like Ishi the Killer and Audition. Yakuza Apocalypse, I wouldn't say, is really in that vein. There's, I mean, a lot of blood, but I wouldn't say any of it's done in a really disturbing way. It's all very stylized. So I guess, yeah, if you're the quote-unquote casual Miike fan, this is probably a good one to watch. The tone, yeah, I guess the tone isn't as harsh as some of his other stuff. Are you familiar with the YouTube channel The Hollywood Reporter? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of YouTube. Sorry, I don't watch a lot of YouTube. Did you see Holy Motors? The movie reminds me of Jodorowsky's work. I did see Holy Motors. I love that movie. I'm a huge fan of Leos Carax. Yeah, I love Lovers on the Bridge. I think that's a great movie. Oh, what's the one he did before that? Malve Sang. Yeah, that's a really good one, too. The scene where Denny Levant runs down the street while dancing to David Bowie's Modern Love, I think is one of the best scenes I've ever seen in any movie. And Pola X, I think, is a really underrated one. I like that one. And yeah, Holy Motors. Great one. Really anarchic and unpredictable, sort of like Yakuza Apocalypse. A very different movie, but kind of similar in that it's seemingly every scene is a completely different genre. It's kind of like the movie reinvents itself every 10 minutes or so. Yeah, I like that. I thought it was really good. Denny Levant, the star of Holy Motors and Malve Sang and Lovers on the Bridge, he's sort of like Leos Carax's cinematic alter ego. He's brilliant. I love him. He also plays Charlie Chaplin in Harmony Korine's Mr. Lonely, which is another great movie. But yeah, I think he's great in Holy Motors, playing all those different characters, and that sewer-dwelling monster that he plays, Maird. I love that character. He's so good as whatever that thing is supposed to be. Yeah, but I love Carax. Have you seen Sin Poesia? Sin Fin, directed by Alejandro Jodorowsky. I haven't seen that one yet. That's his new one. I really want to, though. Yeah, it's been getting great reviews, which I'm really happy to see. That Jodorowsky's really has really come back these last few years. Really, really happy to see that. Yeah, and whenever Endless Poetry, as it's called in English, that's just easier for me to say. Yeah, whenever Endless Poetry gets released here in the States, I'm definitely going to see it. I'm really excited for that one. It's the second part of his autobiographical cinematic series. He said like he's going to end up doing like 5 or something. I don't know exactly. But yeah, I loved The Dance of Reality. I love all of his work. Yeah, really, really want to see Endless Poetry. And I'm still really hoping that Sons of El Topo gets made. He said that's going to be his next one after Endless Poetry. Sons of El Topo, finally, after all these years. Let's hope it happens. There's a great documentary about Leos Carax. Yeah, Mr. X, I think it's called. I saw that. Yeah, it was really good. He's a very mysterious guy. Not much is known about him. So yeah, it was cool to see that somebody actually managed to get a documentary made about him. Yeah, I love his work. Thanks, man. I'll check out Yakuza Apocalypse. Cool. It's different. You'll never see anything else like it. If it wasn't for pirating, I would have never seen Primer or Haneke's Cachet, which are two of my favorite films. Yeah, look, I understand. I understand why people do it. It makes sense to me, but I guess just for me, I try to avoid it because I want to support the industry. I want to support the filmmakers. I guess just for me, that's the choice that I have made, but, I don't try to force it on anyone else. You all make your own choices, but that's the choice I've made. But, no judgment on anyone else. They have interesting conversations with directors, actors at the round table. Oh, yeah. I've seen a couple of those videos. Okay. So that's the Hollywood Reporter. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I am familiar with that stuff. I've seen a few of those. But yeah, I didn't know that was the Hollywood Reporter. But yeah, I do know what you're talking about now. I feel very lame for not knowing Hoda had a new film out. Yeah, well, it's kind of gone under the radar, I guess. It premiered at Cannes last year, I think. And it got some really good reviews, but I don't think it's really found, wide distribution yet. So don't be embarrassed if you haven't heard about it. It looks like it's kind of struggling to really get out there. So I don't know what's going on with it, but I hope I get the chance to see it very soon, because I'm very excited for it. And I think with that we can move on to the other film that I wanted to talk about in this episode. The other film that I saw recently, the BFG, the new Steven Spielberg movie. I guess it's not really new anymore. It came out last year, but it's the last one he did that I finally saw. It got added to Netflix streaming a little while ago. Yeah, and I finally got around to watching it. Dance of Reality was wicked. Yeah, I like that one. It's interesting the direction he's going with these last two films. That it's more personal, that it's more character-driven, more emotional. I'm not really used to that. Sorry. With Jodorowsky, I'm used to his movies just being crazy displays of imagination. Not really used to him trying to tell emotional stories about the evolution of a very relatable character. But it's cool that he's trying new things. Do you know, is FX a network or cable channel? I ask because they showed Sons of Anarchy, and that's the most violent thing I've seen on TV. I'm really not sure. I don't know a lot about TV. It's not something that, I spend a lot of time reading about or researching, so unfortunately, I don't think I can tell you. I'm not sure. But it seems like, there's a lot of stuff, pushing the boundaries of TV. It's kind of interesting. It seems like as films become more restricted, TV's just becoming more open. You can get away with more and more on TV, but it seems like you can get away with less and less in a movie. Watched Lo and Behold via your recommendation. Hey, hope you liked it. I watched Lo and Behold last week. Great documentary. Yes, I loved Lo and Behold. That was... I love Werner Herzog, so just anything he does is great. But yeah, that was, I think, one of his most interesting documentaries that he's done. That was a great one. I was contemplating that one for days afterwards. It's really, really interesting. Did you see the Aziz Ansari show, Master of None? And Lo and Behold was very intriguing. Yes, I haven't seen Master of None yet. I've heard a lot about it, though. It's been getting a lot of acclaim. So I'll probably have to check it out fairly soon. Last week you said you would check out Oz. Have you yet? I have not yet. But I think I should be able to get a hold of the DVD sets from my library. I think they have them there. Did I check out... Oh, no. Yeah, I did find a couple, though. I got Children Who Chase Lost Voices. I did manage to get a hold of that one. Haven't watched it yet. And Animal Kingdom. I know somebody recommended that one to me too. I got that DVD as well. So I'm trying to check stuff off the list as I can, as I am able. Yeah, I'll try and get a hold of Oz fairly soon. Still haven't seen Salt and Fire yet though. Yeah, I'm waiting for that one. Michael Shannon and Werner Herzog is always a great combination, so I want to see it. But yeah, I think it's still trying to find distribution. Yeah, it's kind of funny how it works. You know, you make a movie and then you gotta wait for somebody to decide, okay, let's show people this movie. Yeah, like Queen of the Desert, the one Herzog did in like 2013 with Nicole Kidman and James Franco and Robert Pattinson. That took 3 years to find distribution. It was made in 2013, and 4 years, because it only just this year finally got picked up by a distributor and is being released. So yeah, it's funny how the industry works. You can just have a movie sitting on a shelf for years and years before somebody finally says, hey, let's put this out there. But the BFG, let's talk about that one. Animal Kingdom and Children Who Chase Lost Voices were both my recommendations. Hope you like them. Yeah, I hope I do too. Really excited for Children Who Chase Lost Voices. Yeah, I love animation. I'm always excited to see anime stuff that I haven't heard of before. Okay, let's see if I can stay on track here. BFG. Yeah, I know a lot of people are kind of split on Spielberg. I'm sure some people like his work. I like his work. I'm a big fan of Spielberg's, but I know a lot of people also, just really don't seem to dig it so much, which is okay. But yeah, I'd heard mixed things about the BFG, so I wasn't really sure what to expect from this one. It seems, because this movie's based on a book by Roald Dahl, that's how you say his name. And from what I read, like, people who were really big fans of the book, I guess, really didn't like this movie, that it departed too much from the source material, which I can understand. But I have never read the book, so I didn't really have any expectations going into it. I hadn't really heard great things from the reviews. From what I had read, it didn't do too well at the box office. So this was kind of like, I guess, just a Spielberg movie that I went into, not really expecting much. And as it turned out, I was very pleasantly surprised by it. I actually ended up really enjoying it. BFG, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you could come up with for BFG. Anyway, but yeah, it's about a big friendly giant. So it's a children's movie. It's a family movie. It's done, with a great deal of CGI work and digital work, of blending real actors with digital environments and digital characters. Mark Rylance plays the giant. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly how they did all of this. But yeah, I'm sure it was a combination of motion capture and facial capture to put the actor on the CGI giant. But however it's done, it's pretty stunning. Like, there are the special effects in this movie are so well done that, honestly, after a certain point, and you have to add to it just how good Mark Rylance is, it's sort of like Andy Serkis. Whenever he does motion capture, at a certain point you sort of forget, in the Lord of the Rings movies, you sort of forget that Gollum isn't actually there, because Andy Serkis's physical presence in the scene is so well done, and the special effects are so seamless that you sort of just accept him as a character in the movie. I actually had the same experience with the BFG. The special effects were so well done, and Mark Rylance's performance as the giant was so good that at a certain point I just stopped thinking of him as a special effect and just accepted him as one of the characters in the movie. So it's really well done. Just on a technical level, the movie is stunning to look at. So it definitely wasn't a disappointment there. And Spielberg's always been, one of the best at working with cutting-edge technology, and blending old techniques with new techniques. And the BFG really displays that. He's just a master at working with, all of the most cutting-edge, latest technology. And so just on a technical level, the movie's really stunning. The big fucking giant looks too creepy for kids. Well, from what I understand, the Roald Dahl book, Roald Dahl book. From what I understand, it's a pretty dark book, and the movie lightened it a lot for family audiences, which I can understand. It's a big budget movie. You want to make sure it has a wide appeal. There's only so many chances you can take on a scale this big, so I can understand that. But yeah, it is a little creepy at first. It definitely is, but they make it work just with the performances and the effects, and with the way the relationship between the child and the giant is observed. I actually got really invested. I thought it was a very sweet, very heartwarming movie. And you know what? Maybe that makes me lame for saying that, but this was a movie that when it was over, I felt really good. I just felt happy, uplifted. And you know what? I don't see a lot of movies like that anymore. And there's so much to be angry about, in the world right now. There's so much to be anxious or upset or fearful about. Seeing a movie that actually functions really well as escapist entertainment and as just a heartwarming tale of fantasy and adventure and friendship. It was nice. It was refreshing, okay? I liked that this movie made me feel good. I really appreciated that. And I really enjoyed it. I just thought the movie was very entertaining, very magical and uplifting, and I liked it, okay? So sue me. I liked it. It's definitely not a perfect movie. There are things I could criticize. The third act was kind of strange to me. The first 2 acts of the movie, establishing the characters, building their relationship, were really good. I really liked it. And going into the fantasy world that it creates, the land of the giants, all of the other, more threatening giants, the way they're established, the way they're created, the way Spielberg films everything. He doesn't do a lot of cutting, which I really like. He has these really long, fluid, moving camera shots. And that does a lot, I think, to immerse you into the setting and to make it seem a lot more real than it would seem if you're doing, just a lot of angles and a lot of cutting. He makes you feel like you're actually moving through this real space. It works really well. And for the first 2 acts of the movie, I was really into it and really enjoying it. The third act takes, I guess, a lot of chances. I wasn't expecting the direction it was going to go. I'm not going to spoil it, but I just will say I did not expect it to go the direction it ended up going in the third act, incorporating certain elements and certain characters that I didn't think would end up being in a story like this. And then the climax was pretty disappointing to me. I was expecting much more, I guess, of a catharsis, more of a climax, something that felt big, that it was, it was building up to something, and I was, hoping for something really exciting and satisfying, and it just kind of, resolves fairly quickly, and then it's over. So I was sort of disappointed by that, but the thing that pulled me through were the characters. The child, the actress who plays the kid, I think her name is Ruby Barnhill, is her name. She was really, really good. And Mark Rylance was excellent as the giant, and the way they play off of each other, even though one's a special effect and one's a real actor, the whole way they managed to pull that off of not letting the technology get in the way of the emotions and the relationship and the interactions, it was pulled off really well. So whatever criticisms I could have for the story and whatever weaknesses I felt were in the story, I thought it was made up for with the characters and their relationship, which I got very invested in, and the tear-jerking ending, it worked on me. I had a tear rolling down my cheek at the end of it, and I just felt good. I felt happy. I was like, you know what? That was a really enchanting, magical film. Spielberg, he's still got his touch. He can still transport you. So I liked it. I had a good time with it. Not enough movies I see anymore really just make me feel happy at the end of them. So, you know what? Forget any weaknesses or criticisms, just the fact that it actually had I had a genuine emotional reaction watching this movie, and that I felt uplifted by the end. That's enough for me. So you know what? It gets a recommendation from me. But I guess you have to go into it wanting that, you know? I understand, you know, if you're a more cynical viewer, that this can be just, you know, irritating, don't want anything to do with it, but I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, sometimes. And it worked for me. Oh, I also grew up with Roald Dahl. I loved his books as a kid. Yeah, like I said, it seems like people who really loved the book didn't care for the BFG, the movie, so much. So, yeah, if you're a Roald Dahl fan, I'm not sure what you'll think of it. I guess you kind of have to go in just expecting a Steven Spielberg movie more than a Roald Dahl movie. Snozcumbers! I grew up with Roald Dahl's stories and those beautiful Quentin Blake drawings. He has a great book of adult short stories called The Wonderful Tale of Henry Sugar. Great collection. I'll have to start reading Roald Dahl. I don't think I've read any of his work yet. You'll have to check out some of his stuff. But I know I've seen other film adaptations of his work, too. He wrote the screenplay for a Bond movie, believe it or not. My brother and I, we're going through all of the James Bond movies right now. I can't remember which one he wrote, but yeah, that's certainly a surprising thing to see when you're watching a James Bond movie. Screenplay by Roald Dahl. What? I guess everybody's got to work. See what else I missed on here. They used to show Oz really early in the morning on Channel 4 in the UK. I can confirm it is really good. Great ensemble cast. Wow, J.K. Simmons, Elias Koteas, loads of other great actors. Alright, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, there's a lot of HBO stuff I have yet to see that is kind of like essential if you want to watch a lot of like breakthrough dramatic television. Yeah, like I haven't seen The Sopranos, I haven't seen The Wire, I haven't seen Oz. A lot of stuff I got to catch up with. Oh, Fantastic Mr. Fox, that's right. Also based on a Roald Dahl book. Yeah, I forgot about that one. I imagine that's got a lot of Wes Anderson to it, though. He's kind of somebody... Anything that Wes Anderson does is going to get so infused with his personality and sensibilities. But I've never read the book, so I don't know how faithful it is. Someone said in a video that Michael Keaton's Batman is legendary, but that was decades ago. As if his performance has become less valid because time has passed. I think Keaton's still pretty good as Batman. Yeah, I like the Tim Burton Batman movies. They're not my favorites, but I still think they're pretty good. I like Tim Burton's gothic style. I think of all the directors that have done Batman adaptations, his probably comes the closest to looking like a living comic book. Yeah, I like those Batman movies. I think I'll have to bite the bullet and buy an anamorphic lens for my projector to use it at its full potential. I'd like to have a projector. That sounds cool. Those are supposed to have the best picture quality, aren't they? Yeah, get a 4K projector. That would be awesome. Don't think I can afford to, though. At least not right now. Yeah, once I become the next Steven Spielberg, then I'll be able to get whatever I want. Because of course that's going to happen. Why do most indie filmmakers shoot their movies with ARRI cameras? I don't know, maybe just accessibility? You're getting good quality equipment? And maybe just, I guess ArriFlix maybe has a lot of rental facilities available? I'm not sure. Yeah, I've only worked on one, real independent film production, and it was very small, so we shot with, on that one, I think it was a Blackmagic. They shot it in 2K. So yeah, I've never worked with any, ARRI equipment, so I'm not sure. Good to hear the BFG is good. I can't wait to see Spielberg's Ready Player One adaptation. Yeah, that one's coming out next year, I think. I haven't read Ready Player One, but I've heard a lot about it. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Spielberg does with it. I like Spielberg. I know some people don't, but I really like his work. I think he's very, very good at what he does. And even just on a technical level, his movies are always dazzling. And the BFG, yeah, it was a dazzling technical display, and also just a very well rendered, just like fairy tale. What am I trying to say here? A very well rendered relationship. Sort of in the vein of E.T. Of just a kid and their magical creature best friend. So I thought it was really well done. I thought it was just as good as E.T. I don't know if that's sacrilegious to say, but I enjoyed it just as much as E.T. I thought it was very sweet. And it was refreshing to see a really sweet movie. I don't know if it's just in my head, but it seems like movies are getting really cynical lately. Which is, not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just nice to still see movies from somebody like Spielberg who's saying, like, let's go for something really innocent and heartwarming and fun. So I got a lot of enjoyment out of that. Whoa, did you know that Oliver Stone originally wanted to make Born on the 4th of July in the 70s, starring Al Pacino? I sort of knew that. I know Born on the 4th of July was one that Oliver Stone was trying for years and years to get made. And yeah, it wasn't until the late 80s that he was finally able to do it. So yeah, I'm sure there are multiple versions of Born on the 4th of July that nearly happened. I'm trying to remember, because, I read this, got it right here. Yeah. This biography of Oliver Stone. And, there's a lot of information about the history of his films, their productions, their development. It's been so long since I've read it, I wish I could remember everything in it. Yeah, but he was one of those directors that, like, throughout the mid to late 80s and the early to mid 90s was insanely prolific. He was doing like at least one movie a year for like a straight 10-year period, and big movies too, stuff like The Doors, JFK, big movies, and they were all amazing. I don't know how he did it. So yeah, it was pretty interesting reading about that period in his career where he had all of this stuff lined up, and he had a bunch of others that never got made either. Like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I think he had the rights to that one for a brief period of time, but it was like, no, I've got to do Born on the 4th of July, then I'm going to do Heaven and Earth, and then I'm going to do The Doors. It was kind of like he was just too busy to do all the stuff he wanted to do at that time. Not enough hours in the day. What did you think about Bridge of Spies? I honestly think it's among Spielberg's 10 best films. To me, that was the one that made me go, damn, Spielberg still got it. I have not seen Bridge of Spies. I think actually Bridge of Spies is maybe the only Spielberg movie I haven't seen. Okay, no. There are two. I haven't seen Bridge of Spies, and I haven't seen Empire of the Sun. Those are the only two I haven't seen. Yeah, I'll have to try and get a hold of it. Yeah, that was another one I kind of heard mixed things about. There were some people that I thought, really liked Bridge of Spies, and then others that thought it was just painfully boring. So I don't know. But, I heard a lot of bad things about BFG, too, and I ended up really enjoying it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a matter of whether or not you like Spielberg's style and what he tries to go for. Because he's an entertainer. I think he's an artist. I think he's a brilliant artist, but primarily he is a mass entertainer. And I guess for some people, that's not really their thing. Understandable. But for me, I can really appreciate that. Somebody who's really good at that kind of thing, like Spielberg, I can get into it. I think he's the best at it. There are others like Peter Jackson that I would say are mass entertainers and are good at what they do. But I think Spielberg is still, head and shoulders above the rest. He's still just got some kind of touch, some kind of sensibility that is timeless, you know? I can still go back to like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Still love that movie. Even though it's, 40 years old now? Still works. So yeah, I really like Spielberg's work. I think he's, one of the most talented, one of the best mass entertainers there is, or just entertainers. He elevates it to an art form, as far as I'm concerned. You should watch Kid Cannabis. You know what? I think I've heard of that one. I don't really know anything about it, though. Kid Cannabis. Alright, I'll check it out. I haven't actually read the Fantastic Mr. Fox book, but the film is one of my top 10 favorites. I only saw it the one time, but I remember liking it. Stop motion is always, there's something about stop motion that is really enchanting as well. I love animation, just any animation. You know, it helps that, I think I've talked about this before, but the fact that I know pretty much next to nothing about how animation is done, it still holds a kind of magic for me. You know, when I see drawings come to life, or when I see stop animated puppets come to life, there's still something really magical and enchanting about that. I can feel just like a kid once again, knowing nothing about, special effects, how this or that is done. You can just sit back and get lost in the movie. With live action, I can't really do that anymore. I'm always trying to analyze like how this shot is done, how that technique is done, what's going on here. I'm analyzing too much. But with animation, it's kind of like, I don't know how animation is done. I don't really have any interest in doing it myself, so it's kind of like I can just sit back and get swept up in the story. I saw someone showing an unboxing of a Thai Blu-ray of Transformers, and it said Steven Spielberg. Sounds about right. Kind of random to bring up, but since you brought up James Bond, were you a fan of Chris Cornell and his work? He did a lot of songs for a film like Casino Royale. This year's The Promise, among others. I never really listened to a lot of Chris Cornell. It was really sad that he died, and apparently it was a suicide, so obviously very, very tragic. It was very sad to read about that. But I never really... what were the bands he was in? Soundgarden, I think, and some others. I never really listened to a lot of that music. But his theme song for Casino Royale was pretty good. It was a nice way to announce Bond's comeback. It was sort of like a rebirth of the series when they did Casino Royale. So a song like You Know My Name is a pretty good choice. But I'll maybe have to try and familiarize myself with his work a little bit more. Very sad, though. Very, very sad. My brother was telling me about it. Like, it happened on tour, like, right after a show. Like, God, that's insane. It always sucks when stuff like that happens. Last heartwarming movie I watched was Hugo by Scorsese. That's a cute one. Nice tribute to the early days of film. Try and get kids interested in history. Yeah, that was a cute movie. Scorsese was Oliver Stone's professor in film school, too. Yeah, I remember that. Martin Scorsese taught Oliver Stone how to make movies. Kind of an interesting coincidence. I remember seeing an Oliver Stone interview, too, where he was talking about the classes that Scorsese taught and how Scorsese always had this very manic personality. He always had this really manic vibe because I guess it was pretty common for Scorsese because in those days, they didn't have DVDs or VHS. The only way you could see movies, especially older movies, was either in a revival theater or if they played them on TV. And I guess Scorsese was obsessed with seeing certain movies, and he'd find out that they'd be playing, in the early morning or in the middle of the night on a certain channel on TV, and whether or not he had to teach a class the next day, he was like, I've got to watch this movie. So he'd stay up all night without sleeping to watch this particular movie and then show up to teach the class the next day just out of his mind and talking rapid fire, lightning fast about this movie that he'd seen on TV the other night with no sleep. And so he said, I remember Oliver Stone saying the class was always very interesting because you never knew if Scorsese had gotten any sleep the night before or what he'd be ranting and raving about that he'd seen on television the night before. I don't know how he did that. Favorite director, The Favorite, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, will be a lesbian love story set in 17th century England, following the political machinations that lead to the end of Queen Anne Stewart. Wow, sounds complicated. I love Yorgos Lanthimos. I'm very excited for The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which I think is playing at Cannes this year. So, well, I guess we'll find out in the next couple of days what the reaction is. Yeah, he's a great director. I'd like to see more of his work. Most recent Spielberg film I've seen is Minority Report. Minority Report's a good one. Yeah, I love Philip K. Dick adaptations tend to be really good. I don't know, they tend not to be very faithful to the source material. You know, like Minority Report, I'm sure, I've never read the original story, but I'm sure Minority Report departs very heavily from the story. Like Blade Runner, for instance, it has almost nothing to do with Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, but it's still a great movie. Minority Report, I imagine, is the same way. But yeah, I like that one. It's a really good mystery, sci-fi action film. Spielberg does that really well. There's still a sequence in there that I think is one of the best sequences Spielberg's ever done. It's when they get the little spider robots to go through that apartment building, and it's all done just in that one single shot with the camera looking straight down overhead the floor of the apartment, and it like drifts in and out of all the different rooms, and you see people's privacy being invaded by these robots that are scanning them. It's like, wow, prophetic. Really prophetic. Have you seen Terry Gilliam's comparison between Kubrick and Spielberg? I might have. Yeah, I don't think Terry Gilliam's a very big fan of Spielberg. Yeah, I know he's very critical of like Star Wars and like The Entertainers like that. Yeah, but he always has an interesting perspective to share. I remember in his audio commentary for Brazil, he was talking about the nature of evil and what a truly frightening villain is. And he was talking about how he was having a conversation with George Lucas one time about why he didn't think Darth Vader was a threatening villain. And he was saying it was because it's too obvious. You know, he's dressed in black, he's got this scary outfit. It's like he's too obvious a villain. It's not scary, it's not threatening because it doesn't seem real. And he was arguing that the Michael Palin character in Brazil, that was a truly frightening villain because he was an evil character that wore a smile, that was friendly, that was personable. You know, he's the villain that you have no idea is actually a villain. And he was saying that's the way evil truly exists in the world. It wears a mask, and that's why it's truly frightening. And, you know, I think he makes a good point. I think Star Wars, you know, it's kind of like a fable, so it does things in a much more simplistic, straightforward way. I think in its way, Star Wars works for what it is. But I think Gilliam makes a very good point. It is Michael Palin, if you really think about it, is a lot scarier than Darth Vader in Brazil. So yeah, it's interesting to think about. I can understand, yeah, where he's coming from. And just for some people, yeah, why, you know, like a George Lucas or a Steven Spielberg, that their movies are just a little too cut and dry. You know where everything stands. There's not a lot of subtlety. Everything's very clear, and very very clearly communicated, make sure there's no ambiguity. I can understand why some people wouldn't go for that. But for me, it's all about, whatever a movie is trying to do on its own terms. Not every movie does the same exact thing, and I think that's okay. That's where I stand on it. I can appreciate what Steven Spielberg does as an entertainer, and also I can appreciate what Terry Gilliam does as somebody who likes to challenge a lot of those conventions. With regard to how you said BFG made you feel more of this, less of everything else, as Kevin Smith says. I'm not sure. Yeah, the Kevin Smith quote. I'm not familiar with that, so I'm not entirely sure what that means. Sorry. Favorite Harmony Korine movie? I think Gummo is probably his best movie. I think Gummo, for what it is perfect. Gummo is just a perfect expression of itself. It's a movie that's entirely in its own genre, in its own world, and I think is just exactly perfect for what it was trying to be. But as far as personal favorite, I think my personal favorite is Mr. Lonely. I love Mr. Lonely. I think that's a very, very funny, very strange, and oddly poignant movie about self-discovery and understanding oneself and coming to terms with who you are. And it's sort of autobiographical, I think, in a way, because of the point that it came in Harmony Korine's life, that he just before that he'd burned out on drugs and all this other stuff, feeling disillusioned with fame and art, and going through this personal crisis, and finally emerging out of that. I think Mr. Lonely actually says a lot just about himself, where he was at that point in his life and career, of coming more to terms with himself. So yeah, I think it's oddly powerful in a way. And just, I love, the celebrity impersonators, Denny Levant as Charlie Chaplin, and Werner Herzog's performance as the priest, the whole thing with the flying nuns. It's just the weirdest, funniest, most wonderful movie. I really like it. I don't know how many people would agree with me on that one, but yeah, Mr. Lonely is definitely one of my favorites. Oh, have you seen Feherlofia, Son of the 16th White Mare? Oh, Son of the White Mare. Sorry. Yeah, typo there. Son of the White Mare. Really trippy animation. I have not seen it. I don't even know what that is. Son of the White Mare. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I love animation. Okay. On the list. Oh, we have the uncut R-rated Blu-ray of Casino Royale in the UK. US is the censored PG-13 version. I didn't know there was an R-rated cut of Casino Royale. Interesting. Oh, what is Munich like? My neighbor had a garage sale and I picked it up for $2. Munich is good. I think Munich, yeah, talking about Spielberg, that his stuff is always so cut and dry and, unambiguous. Munich is actually very ambiguous. That's actually a pretty interesting exploration of moral ambiguity, how violence leads to more violence, the endless nature of conflict. I think that's actually a very complex, very adult historical drama. I think Munich's pretty good. Yeah, not one you hear mentioned too often. That's kind of like one of Spielberg's forgotten ones, but I think it's very, very good. Just wanted to say I'm eating a great homemade burger, drinking a nice rose, and watching this stream. I call that a fucking great Saturday night. Thanks, man. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're having a good time. Sidney Lumet's directorial debut, 12 Angry Men, is a perfect classic film. That it is. Yeah, 12 Angry Men is great. You want a master class in how to direct a movie? That's a perfect example. Yeah, the whole way Sidney Lumet constructs that movie is just beautiful. It's very subtle, but very, very effective. Yeah, I read Sidney Lumet's book, Making Movies. That's one of the best books you can ever read just on what a director does and how that job works. And yeah, he talks about how 12 Angry Men is constructed, of how, since it all takes place in just one single room, he had to find a way of very subtly communicating a story using a limited amount of resources and space. But the way he did it was just fantastic. The way of how he slowly builds the tension and the claustrophobia in that setting. Like when the movie begins, he's using very long lenses. He's keeping the camera distanced. He's allowing the audience to be. He's allowing a lot of space between the actors and the camera and the audience. And then as the movie goes on and tempers start to rise and the tension starts to build, the camera starts getting closer and closer to the actors. He starts using wider and wider lenses. And very slowly, like, the image starts to get a lot more intimate, a lot more confrontational, a lot more claustrophobic. It's just beautifully constructed. It's a masterclass in filmmaking. Yeah, that's one of the great movies. One of the great American movies. With regard to what you said about Michael Palin in Brazil, like they say in Goodfellas, murderers come to you with smiles. Yeah, and that's terrifying. I really enjoyed Munich a lot. Yeah, I think that's a really underrated one. You don't hear it discussed too much anymore, but I think it's very, very good. Of just, yeah, no matter how justified you think violence is, it's still violence, and violence is always destructive. I think Guillermo del Toro has one of the best quotes I've ever heard. He was talking about war, but I think it applies to just violence in general. He said, war doesn't leave winners and losers. It only leaves dead victims and living victims. And yeah, I think you could expand that to just refer to all violence in general. There are no winners and losers when it comes to violence. There's just dead victims and living victims. And yeah, I think Munich really tries to dig into that what they thought they were doing was for a greater good. It turned out it was just adding to that cycle of violence, creating more problems. Yeah, the human race is tragic, isn't it? This week I watched Akira, Spirited Away, and Ghost in the Shell, per your people's recommendations. I hope you liked them. Those are 3 pretty great anime films. Watch 12 Angry Short Men Trumpet Fight. It's hilarious on YouTube. Never heard of that. I did see Amy Schumer's 12 Angry Men parody. That was very funny. I know Amy Schumer's kind of a controversial figure these days. Yeah, but without really commenting on any of that, I'll just say I think she's very funny. I think her show, Inside Amy Schumer, is one of the best sketch comedy shows out there. And yeah, her 12 Angry Men episode, just brilliant. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. So I'm a fan. I don't know how other people feel, but I'm a fan. Oh, I found Akira and Ghost in the Shell to be incredible, and I really enjoyed Spirited Away. To be enjoyable, but I didn't think it was as masterful as people say it is. Really? Interesting. Yeah, Spirited Away, yeah, I would call that the greatest animated movie ever made. I thought it was brilliant. Yeah, interesting. Oh well, Not everyone can agree on everything. That's fine. Yeah, glad you liked Akira and Ghost in the Shell, though. Yeah, Akira's a great one. I remember seeing that, gosh, how old was I? 14 or 15? Saw it for the first time. Blew my mind. Yeah, I loved it. Still love it. Yeah, that's a great one. Who said that incredibly sagacious quote about war? Guillermo del Toro. That's who I heard it from. I don't know if he was quoting somebody else, but I heard that from Guillermo del Toro. One of his audio commentaries, I think. I think it was on The Devil's Backbone, because that movie is about the Spanish Civil War. And those films, Devil's Backbone and Pan's Labyrinth, are commentaries on war and the destructiveness on war, which is why they're so powerful. Yeah, I think Del Toro's his genius, I think, goes far beyond just filmmaking. I think he's also just one of the great thinkers of today. He thinks so deeply about so many things. I could just listen to that guy talk for hours and hours. He's such an interesting mind, such an interesting individual. Henry, see Get Out. It deals with race in a mature way. It isn't just saying all white people are evil, like I thought it may. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of great stuff about Get Out. I want to see it. I really want to see it. I will also have to watch Munich now also. Yeah, Munich's a good one. Check it out. Yeah, I think Spielberg has done some really genuinely complex adult films. I think Saving Private Ryan is a really complex adult look at war. You know, it doesn't just say, like, the Germans are bad and Americans have to defeat the Germans. There's a lot of complexity in there, a lot of ambiguities. My favorite line in Saving Private Ryan is when Vin Diesel's trying to save that little girl and he's saying, I just want to do the right thing, and Tom Hanks yells in his face, "We're not here to do the right thing, we're here to follow orders." Wow, that's an insightful line of dialogue. Ghost in the Shell has become my all-time favorite film. Flawless. I need to watch it again. There's still a lot I don't understand in that movie. It's a very complicated film, but it's a good one. I can see how it is one's favorite film. It was fantastic. Oh, have you seen Triplets of Belleville and or Persepolis? Two great animated movies. I haven't seen Triplets of Belleville, but I have seen Persepolis. I love Persepolis. That's a great movie. I read a little bit of the graphic novel, too. I tried to read all of it. I think it was back in high school. I had gotten it from the library, and I started reading it, but for some reason I never got to finish it, and I ended up returning it and never checking it back out. Yeah, I'll have to try and remedy that, because I love that movie. And I really want to read the graphic novel. I've also read, after I saw Akira, I read all of that manga series too. It's like however many volumes, like 10 volumes. It's huge. As epic as the movie is, and as many themes as that one covers, like the manga is even bigger. Like, it's amazing. I love that story. Katsuhiro Otomo, I think his name is. Yeah, he's a brilliant storyteller. I also really love the other film he did. I think he's only done 2 films. I can't think of any others. But yeah, Akira, which is great, and Steam Boy, which I also think is great. That one got kind of lukewarm reviews, but I thought Steam Boy was stunning. I loved it. Spielberg gets too much crap. I agree. I think he does get a bit too much crap. I mean, yeah, I'm not telling anybody what to think. If his movies aren't your thing, that's fine. But yeah, I always read people saying negative things about his work, and yeah, I just don't agree with it. I think he's a great filmmaker. Triplets of Belleville doesn't get mentioned enough. It is a work of art. That is... No, wait. I was going to say, isn't that a Satoshi Kon movie? But I think I'm thinking of Tokyo Godfathers. Triplets of Belleville. Yeah, I know I've heard of that one. Haven't seen it, though. God, so many movies on the list now. I'm way behind. Trying to catch up, though. Which film is creepier to you, The Innocents or The Haunting? Which one is The Innocents? That one is... Is that the adaptation of Turn of the Screw? With, who was it in that one? Deborah Kerr? Am I thinking of the right movie? And The Haunting. I have seen The Haunting. I know I've seen that one. But I'm not sure if I've seen The Innocents. I have one of those. I think I have. I'm trying to remember. I've got a couple of 60s horror movies on Blu-ray from the Criterion Collection. I'm just trying to remember if I'm thinking of the right one. But yeah, which film is creepier? To be honest, I wasn't really creeped out by either of those. If The Innocents is the one I'm thinking of, I was actually sort of... Yeah, Deborah Kerr. Okay, yeah. Then I have seen that one. And yeah, to be honest, I wasn't that creeped out by either of those, because I had read both stories. I read The Turn of the Screw, which is really creepy, and The Haunting, that was the Shirley Jackson novel, The Haunting of Hill House, which is a really creepy book. I loved both those stories. They were really, really, really well done ghost stories, horror novels. And so I guess the movies that I pictured when I read those books were not quite what the movies ended up being. So I don't know if it was just skewed expectations from reading the books or what it was, but I was actually disappointed by both of those movies. I wasn't particularly creeped out by them. I watched Triplets knowing nothing about it, and my god, it blew me away and is now one of my absolute favorite films. Alright, I'll have to look into that one. Akira manga is a right slog, but amazing. Really? It's been a while since I've read it, but I remember being pretty captivated by it. I don't know, maybe I was just really into Akira at the time. I don't know, but I remember loving it. Saving Private Ryan and The Thin Red Line both came out in the same year, with Saving Private Ryan... Oh, Saving Private Ryan overshadowed Thin Red Line, yeah, but which one do you prefer? I don't know, that's a tough question. They're both such different movies. You know, Saving Private Ryan is very visceral, and trying to just put you into the immediate position of a soldier on the front lines, whereas The Thin Red Line is more of an existential contemplation. You know, it's kind of trying to look at the wider destruction of war, not just on a human level, but, you know, looking at the destruction of nature, looking at just the destruction of all life. It seems to be trying to look at something much bigger and more poetic, whereas Saving Private Ryan is really just focused on the immediate ground level for those people, you know, involved in those situations. I think each is great in its own way. I don't know which I prefer, though, because I think each one is so good at what it does. Each one, I think, is a masterpiece in its own way. I don't know which I prefer, because there are times, yeah, I guess I'll prefer Saving Private Ryan if I want to go for something more visceral and immediate that just hits you on a gut level. And then there are other times where I would probably lean towards more The Thin Red Line, of looking at a larger perspective, a more existential perspective. I think they're both masterpieces, though. Oh, yeah, I've heard of The Rover. The director of Animal Kingdom, yeah, which is a DVD I have over there right now. Gonna watch it soon. David Milchad? Again with the names. I'm sorry I'm so bad at the names. Sorry for the wrong spelling. His follow-up was The Rover. That was also great and unique. Yeah, that's Guy Pearce, I think, is in The Rover. and Robert Pattinson. I'm pretty sure that's the right one that I'm thinking of. I heard a lot of good stuff about that one. That one, yeah. I've been trying to keep an eye out for that one. Yeah, I haven't really seen it like available on any streaming platforms or anything, but that's been one I've been curious to see. I remember hearing about it and making a mental note of it at the time. I don't intend to shit on Spielberg. His films just haven't hit me in the way they have for so many. Yeah, well, if it doesn't do it for you, it doesn't do it for you. I guess it's sort of like me with Hitchcock. Just, I don't get what other people really see in his movies. But, everyone has their own unique reaction to art. Thin Red Line greater than Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, I can understand somebody not really digging Spielberg too much. But as for the people who hate Spielberg, who absolutely despise him and everything he does, I don't understand that. If you don't like a movie, you don't like a movie. I don't have any problem with that. But I don't know, the personal level some people take it to, I really don't get. I don't understand hating anybody for making a movie. It seems like such a waste of energy to me. Even directors that I hate, like I hate Michael Bay. I think his movies are awful, but I don't hate Michael Bay as a person. I just hate his work. Yeah, well, you just shitted on him anyway. But yeah, I don't really understand the people that take it to a personal level, or like all the stuff that's been said about George Lucas. I just do not understand that. Why people spend so much time and energy and effort letting it be known that they hate George Lucas. I just don't get it. Think whatever you will about the prequels or the Star Wars special editions, but I just don't understand, like, actively hating another human being because of a movie they made. Doesn't really make sense to me, but I guess for some people it's really important to them. So yeah, who am I to judge? Maybe that's why the Thin Red Line uses a 2.35 ratio and Saving Private Ryan is 1.85. Maybe. Yeah, I think Saving Private Ryan was going for something more of the time, more of a classical kind of thing, or even just trying to replicate newsreel footage, because it's really cool the way Janusz Kaminski, the cinematographer, the way he shot Saving Private Ryan. They did a lot of interesting, innovative techniques to try and make it seem as immediate and as visceral as possible. They shot, with a lot of handheld cameras. They shot with a particular film stock that was a little bit grainier and rougher. The lenses they used on the cameras, the way, this is kind of technical, but most modern lenses, they have like a protective coating over the glass that prevents too much light from leaking in and, messing with the film stock. And Spielberg and Kaminski wanted a really rough, kind of unpredictable, visceral style. So they actually got older lenses like that would have been used by cameramen, on the battlefield, actually capturing real World War II battles. They got lenses from that time without that protective coating. So I think it's beautiful the way like certain light will leak onto the film in a certain way, kind of bleed it out a little bit. The way like the lens flares that they get without planning them. I really love the way that movie's shot in just this really fast, immediate style. I think it's really great. I'm always impressed when I watch that movie, just the way it looks. Yeah, you got the right Rover. Really unconventional. Yeah, the Rover. I'll have to see if I can get a hold of that one. Oh. And his new film War Machine starring Brad Pitt was made for Netflix. Okay, I didn't know that was the same director. Yeah, I've been seeing advertisements for War Machine coming up when I log into Netflix. these past few days. I didn't know that was him. Ooh, which film in your DVD Blu-ray collection have you rewatched the most? Rewatched the most. I am not sure. Maybe 2001: A Space Odyssey? I know I've seen that one at least a dozen times, probably more. That was one that for a while there I was watching obsessively over and over again. I think I probably know that movie shot for shot by this point. Yeah, I'm trying to think what others. Nothing immediately comes to mind. Actually, of all movies, Werner Herzog's Bad Lieutenant, I've probably watched that one at least a dozen times, maybe upwards of like 20 times. I've seen that one a lot. There was another period where I was really obsessed with that movie for some reason. Like, I watched it several times on my own because I thought it was so good, and then basically like every friend I had at the time, anytime somebody would come over to my house, it was like, we have to watch Bad Lieutenant. You'll love this movie. Yeah, so I watched that one over and over again. Yeah, but I don't know which one I've rewatched the most, but those are definitely two that I've probably rewatched more than any others. I know Hodorowski really dislikes Spielberg's films. Makes sense. I mean, Hodorowski is so far outside convention. I could see him not really appreciating Spielberg's work so much. I would like to see a Topiary as a series. You know what? I think it could actually work as a series. I don't know what Shane Carruth is doing right now, but like I think I said in one of the streams I did recently, I would really like to see him take that script to Amazon or Netflix. I honestly think he has a very good chance of getting that made for a streaming or a VOD platform. I think new opportunities are opening up in the industry right now that he could definitely take advantage of. I hope he does, because it sounds like at best the Modern Ocean has been delayed. It may have been canceled, but it appears at the moment that it's been at the very least delayed. So I don't know when that's going to happen, or if it's going to happen, but I think he would have a much better chance of getting some of his stuff made for a platform like Netflix or Amazon. I think they'd be very open to that. I hope he does. I really hope he does. I can't hate anyone, man. There's far too much negative energy in this world as it is. That sounds like hippy-dippy new age bullshit, but I really think it's true. Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to see. Anytime you go on social media, anytime you look at the news, yeah, it's just bad vibes after bad vibes. Yeah, and there are people, doing some actively awful things in the world right now. So, like, I don't know, I guess just, I don't know why anyone would bother to hate an artist. Unless, I guess, what they've done has carried over into the real world. Like, I can understand someone hating Roman Polanski, but I think that's a different discussion. Got back from seeing Free Fire a while ago. Probably the first Ben Wheatley film I can say is good without reservation. Yeah, I want to see Free Fire. That looks interesting. I like the idea of a movie being done, being centered around just a single shootout. That it's trying to say, like, how would a shootout actually progress in real time with real people, instead of, I guess just what you typically see in movies of people just firing nonstop and then it's over in just like 5 minutes, and the main character has somehow managed to avoid all injury altogether. Yeah, I like the idea of doing that, like a really realistic, real-time shootout. That's a cool idea. And I've listened to interviews with Ben Wheatley. He's talked a lot about that one. And it's interesting to me listening to like all the research he did and like ballistics, how he looked into physics of how bullets work in certain situations. It's really weird. You see so many shootouts in movies, when you actually hear about like the physics of how an actual gun, an actual bullet works, and what it'll do in certain situations, it's very strange. I remember one thing he said that really stuck with me is he was talking about research he did of what happens when a bullet hits a flat surface. You would think it would just hit the surface and get stuck in there, and that would be it. But he said what actually happens is if like you fire a bullet at a concrete wall or something, the bullet will flatten against the wall and continue traveling on a straight line against the wall until it runs out of kinetic energy, which is so strange. You would think that'd be impossible, but apparently that's what actually happens. Like if you go through police training, and that's one of the things they tell you is like if you take cover behind a car, you need to get behind one of the tires, because if a bullet hits the ground, it'll keep going and it'll still get you. It'll actually travel under the car. So you need to be in front of a tire for something to stop a bullet if that happens. Strangest stuff, but apparently those are all things that he's incorporating into the movie, which I think is really cool. Emmanuel Lubezki owes his style to Malick. He probably does, yeah. Emmanuel Lubezki is one of those cinematographers too that like you can always tell when he shot a movie. He's one of those cinematographers that like he could actually be considered an auteur, because his mark is so distinct and you can see it on every film that he works on. Yeah, he makes the most beautiful, beautiful movies. Huh. Ben Wheatley had animal cruelty just in a trailer, and it disturbed me too much, so no thank you. Yeah, which one? Oh, dog killed in the trailer for Sightseers. Okay, well... Yeah, I can understand. Some people, yeah, have their things that... get in the way of enjoying a film. I can understand that. You know, for me, it's I definitely hate animal cruelty, but I guess since like probably 99 times out of 100 it's simulated, I can work past it. Definitely if a film's showing real animal cruelty, that's going to be a lot more difficult for me to accept. Sometimes I can, you know, like Apocalypse Now. The way it was done, I don't think it's okay, but, you know, since it was an actual ceremony that he was filming for Apocalypse Now, it's like, okay. And yeah, just with the themes of the movie that he was trying to tackle, all right, doesn't mean I think it's okay, but I guess I can at least accept it. But most other times, I guess just at least with real animal cruelty, I always think that's unnecessary. But yeah, the big thing for me is violence against women. Yeah, when I see a woman getting slapped in the face in a movie, especially in older movies, that makes it really difficult for me to, yeah, continue just, I guess, just watching the movie and like accepting the characters in the story. I don't know. It's really jarring for me. Yeah, I don't know how other people feel about certain things, but I can understand with certain people just having certain things that really turn them off with movies. Makes sense to me. You have a real disdain for anything happening to animals. Can't imagine how Alhazard Balthazar would do for you. God, that was a hard movie to watch. The Bresson film about the donkey? Jeez. That one's almost too sad to even watch. Yeah, as far as I know, the dog wasn't really killed in Sightseers. Yeah. I think the vast majority of directors out there are not gonna actually harm an animal. Still too much for me to take. I like animals. More than people. People come first for me. Sorry, not to discredit animal rights. But the double standard of slapping your wife around versus messing with a cat is pretty sketchy. Yeah, I don't know. Certainly, yeah, I can understand that. But yeah, I'm just against the idea of committing violence against any living thing. I'm pretty much a pacifist. But, you know, some people have to hunt to survive, cycle of life, nature, I get it. But just me personally, yeah, I'm against all violence. I find Wheatley is someone who makes a movie out of one theme and just that theme. Sometimes it works, Sightseers, sometimes it doesn't, High Rise. Love his creativity, though. Yeah, he's an interesting filmmaker. Doing a lot of interesting stuff right now. Let's see, I've seen Sightseers, which, yeah, was brutal, but yeah, funny. Very, very darkly funny. What else did I see? I know I've seen a couple of his movies. I saw High Rise, which I liked. I didn't think it was good as it could have been, because I thought the J.G. Ballard book that it was based on was great, and I thought there was potential there for a great movie. I don't think his adaptation really lived up to all that potential, but it was interesting. There were still things I liked about it. And I appreciated the fact that he was really adapting too, like trying to morph it to his own sensibilities. I wrote to the Coen brothers asking why they repeatedly have animal cruelty in their work. Then in their next film, Hail Caesar, they saved a dog. I like to think I had something to do with that. Let's hope you did. Oh, I haven't seen Sightseers yet. What is that like? Sightseers, yeah, it's about, oh gosh, it's been a while. From what I remember, it was about this lonely woman that meets this kind of charming guy, and they go on a trip in a mobile home to go visit different, like, tourist spots and landmarks. And along the way, she realizes that he's a serial killer. So basically, everywhere they go, he ends up brutally murdering somebody. But kind of like the theme of the movie is that she's so lonely, she's kind of willing to overlook his flaws, no matter how bad they are. So it's kind of an interesting look at loneliness and, yeah, how relationships can work. Obviously very exaggerated and satirical, but yeah, still interesting. Perhaps very incisive as well. High Rise is the one film of his I was not overly fond of. Kill List and A Field in England. I want to see A Field in England. I've heard a lot about that one. The latter's one of my favorite films, full stop. Field in England. I want to check that one out, yeah. I like that idea of doing a period drama in a psychedelic style. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Yeah, I'm interested in checking that movie out. A Field in England is tricky. It has a lot of art film cliches and kind of pretentious, but I still liked it. Life is life. People are animal. It's life. I definitely agree with that sentiment. Yeah, not trying to say the life of a person is worth less or anything like that, but yeah, I'm somebody who values all life. Maybe I'm naive, I don't know, but that's how I feel. Yeah, the donkey film. Alhazard Balthazar. Yeah, Bresson's always harsh and depressing, but that one especially is really difficult to watch. Sightseers is a solid dark comedy, but it has some surprising warmth to it in a very weird, very British way. Yeah. It's got a very British wit to it as well. I think Americans would go for, if an American had done that movie, they probably would have gone for a much more base kind of humor, but there's definitely a lot of wit to that movie that, is very British. I'd agree with that. I don't care what people say, but I find Kill List to be a masterpiece. I am lukewarm about A Field in England. I didn't like High Rise very much at all. Wow, there's a lot of differing opinions on Ben Wheatley. I love dark comedy, so I will give it a watch. Yeah, if you like dark comedies, that's Sightseers is as dark as they get. So yeah, you might end up liking it. I can't believe you called the lead character in Sightseers charming. I really want to see the female lead's directorial debut. Prenatal, is it? Something to do with pregnancy. It's a dark comedy. Huh. I didn't know she was directing. Yeah, I don't know. Charming is a relative term. Certainly, the female lead, she found him charming. So maybe there's something to be said there. I found A Field in England to be too similar to Valhalla Rising, just not as good. Valhalla Rising, that was a brutal movie. Wow. Yeah, that was a very dark, very violent movie. Memorable, though. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Nicholas Winding Refn, but certainly Valhalla Rising was memorably harsh. It wouldn't have been any fun to have been a Viking. I'm really glad, actually, that I live in the 21st century. Have you seen Leningrad Cowboys Go America? No, I haven't seen any of the Leningrad Cowboys movies. I want to watch them, though. I really want to get a Filmstruck subscription so I can watch all the Criterion stuff, because they have all the Leningrad Cowboys movies on there. Yeah, I'd really like to watch that. All of those. What is this donkey film that keeps getting mentioned? Alhazard Balthazar, it's called. It's a Robert Bresson movie. It's in the Criterion Collection. You might be able to find it there. Is that the Nicholas Winding Refn film? Valhalla Rising. If that's the one you're referring to, yeah, that's Nicholas Winding Refn. I know that all of the sound editors working on Thin Red Line all regretted it and said they all wanted to work on Saving Private Ryan instead. Interesting. Yeah, I've heard Malick can be kind of difficult. I know actors love working with him. Like, basically every actor he's worked with has nothing but great things to say about him. Except for Adrian Brody. Because Adrian Brody was originally supposed to be the lead character in Thin Red Line, and he basically got completely cut out. And Jim Caviezel became the lead character. And I guess Adrian Brody knew nothing about that beforehand and was really upset. So some people have had some bitter experiences. And yeah, I know a lot of like producers and certain other people, editors, found it very difficult working with him. So yeah, I don't know. Malick definitely has his own way of doing things, and it can cause some friction with some people. Alhazard Balthazar. I have no idea if I'm saying that correctly, but yeah, that's the donkey film. Are you subscribed to Filmstruck? Not yet. I want to. I'd like to get a subscription. We'll see if I can. I might have to drop Hulu. Have you seen Misfits, UK cult classic series? It's very British, hilarious, and great. I have not seen it. There are a lot of UK series that I like, though. Like, I'm a big fan of Red Dwarf. I think that's a great series. Fawlty Towers is a great one. Monty Python's Flying Circus, of course, that's an obvious one. What else did I see? A Bit of Fry and Laurie. I think that's a really great sketch comedy show. There was a Steve Coogan series that I thought was really good. Saxondale. Yeah, I remember really liking that one. Yeah, there's a lot of great British television out there. Very, very funny stuff. I really want to know what you think about Alexei German. I've been obsessed with Hard to Be a God since it came out and have sought out more of his work since. Nothing is like Hard to Be a God, though. Yeah, that was an amazing movie. Yeah, like you said, nothing else like it. Yeah, I don't know if I could say I enjoyed it, because it's not really a movie that was made to be enjoyed, but it's pretty unforgettable. Really immerses you in just an otherworldly setting. And yeah, just visually, the way it's created, it's pretty stunning. Yeah, it's like 3 hours of filth and misery and awfulness, but there is a really a gritty beauty to it as well. Yeah, I did like that one. I want to watch it again. I think it's still on Netflix. I'll have to give it a second viewing. Oh, Leningrad Cowboys was directed by Aki Kaurismäki. Have you seen any of his films? I think I saw The Match Factory Girl. Is that what it's called? I think that's the only one I've seen. I do have the Criterion Blu-ray of... Is it La Havre? La Havre? One of his more recent ones. I haven't watched it yet. One of those Blu-rays I bought ages ago and still haven't gotten around to actually sitting down to watch yet. Hopefully I will soon, though. But yeah, I've got a pretty huge list building up right now. All the movies I've seen, yeah, and there's still so many more I need to see. I believe Christian Bale said it best. When you're in one of Malick's films, you go in thinking, either I'm not in the movie, or I'm the star of the movie. Yeah, that's a good quote. You never know what's going to happen with him. And I guess some people, yeah, find that really liberating, that you don't know what's going to happen next, or yeah, other people find it really frustrating. I guess some people would prefer a much more structured production. Yeah, it's sort of like Lars von Trier. Some actors and other people find it really frustrating to work for him because it's so loose and kind of chaotic when he's shooting. And then other actors, yeah, find it really liberating and really thrilling because he makes movies like nobody else. Yeah, so I guess it depends. Oh, bought the Animal Kingdom on US Blu-ray, then rebought the Australian Blu-ray, which has more extra features and much better audio too. This is what we do. Oh, HBO's Band of Brothers is of course a classic, and the natural progression to Saving Private Ryan. Beautiful on Blu-ray too, yeah. I remember watching all of Band of Brothers back in the day and loving it. It's been ages since I've seen it, though. I'd kind of like to go back and rewatch it again. Yeah, I remember especially the interviews they have with the real guys, too. The way that's incorporated, of them just kind of reminiscing. It's always so fascinating to listen to those people that actually went through that kind of stuff. Like, I certainly couldn't even imagine it. Like, being in a real war zone, and yeah, God, experiencing some of the stuff those guys experienced, that's unthinkable to me. But thank God they did, right? I grew up with a bit of Fry and Laurie. Do you remember the barman innuendo sketch? I don't. It's been a while since I've seen a bit of Fry and Laurie. I only remember a few sketches, but I remember really loving the show. I'd like to go back and rewatch it. Oh, I wonder, what kind of music do you like? Basically, mostly stuff from the 60s and 70s. That's that's the era of music I'm most obsessed with. I expand a little bit out from that, but mostly, yeah, it's just stuff from the 60s and 70s. And like a lot of obvious stuff, Velvet Underground, Stooges, what do I have on my shelf? MC5, a lot of David Bowie, Modern Lovers, Dr. Feelgood's really good. What else do I have? Oh, I've got a couple albums by The Fall. I really like them. Yeah, The Doors, a few other things. But yeah, all mostly from that era. Hard to Be a God really rewards multiple viewings. Okay, yeah, I'll have to watch it again. I remember really liking it, though. New York Dolls? Yeah, definitely New York Dolls. The British series Utopia isn't mentioned enough, but it's a masterpiece. Unique, darkly comic, brings up some great themes, moral questions. I think somebody recommended Utopia to me before. I still haven't managed to see it yet, though. Utopia was great, especially the second series. Brilliant story and cast. Alright, I'll make sure I write it down, because I think I forgot last time. Alright, Utopia. Do you rate Swiss Army Man? Haven't seen Swiss Army Man yet. Not sure what I'm going to think of that one. Yeah, I've heard very mixed things about it, but it looks interesting. Certainly looks interesting. I might talk about it next weekend. I know next weekend I'm definitely going to be talking about Alien Covenant. Yeah, my brother... I'm going to go see it with my brother and a friend of ours, and we worked out the day we can do it. I think Wednesday we're going to go see it. That's when we all have free time all at the same time. So yeah, I think Wednesday we're going to go see Alien Covenant. So I'll definitely be talking about that one next stream, next Saturday. And yeah, maybe Swiss Army Man. We'll see. The way violence is presented in Utopia is also great and really effective. Alright, I'll look into it. A fellow Fall fan, yeah. Mark E. Smith. The genius. Probably coming up to the end of the stream now too. Oh, I don't know too much about sound. The sound bit rates for Blu-rays usually always 48 MKPS. Acura has 192 MKPS, and it is astonishing. I wish I knew what that meant. I'm not so technically minded about a lot of these things, though. Sounds good, though. 192 is a higher number than 48, so that must be good. Swiss Army Man is certainly original. I loved it. Yeah, I'm not sure what I would think about it. I guess I'll just have to watch and see for myself. I saw The Fall live, and Mark E. Smith pissed his pants on stage. Sounds about right. Seen him twice, The Fall. Bloody amazing each time. Mark E. Smith is a legend, the greatest living Englishman without a doubt. I have a book. I have a biography of Mark E. Smith. I haven't read it yet, but I really want to. It's on my shelf somewhere. Yeah, I don't know where it went, but it's over here somewhere. Yeah, I gotta read that. There are a lot of really interesting stories about Mark E. Smith. Oh, there are only 2 seasons of Utopia, 12 episodes. Okay. It was canceled, but you need to watch it. I think I get everyone I know to watch it. All right, I'll try and track it down. Yeah, I'm almost certain that somebody recommended that one to me months ago, and I think I forgot about it. Yeah, it always helps to have a reminder. The most recent one, Mark E. Smith book? I'm not sure. God, I think it's right over here. No, I don't know what I did with it. Oh, yeah, Renegade. The Lives and Tales of Mark E. Smith. Yeah, it's called Renegade, so I don't know if that's the most recent one. I got it a while ago. Still haven't, gotten a chance to sit down and read it. Yeah, I've got a ton of books I'm trying to read right now. I'm trying to read Buñuel's autobiography. I get like a stack of books, and like I try to make sure I read through that entire stack before I move on to anything else. So right now it's Buñuel, Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales, and right over here, Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. So those are the three I'm trying to get through right now. Oh, noted. It's not the one I was thinking of. Cheers, man. Definitely should check out The Fall. My only Marquis Smith's experience was Gorillaz. Oh, yeah. And they introduced me to some great artists. Yeah, Gorillaz is great. It's kind of like, what would you call it? They're like a lightning rod for legendary musicians. The collaborations they do are always really surprising and really cool. Yeah, I love Gorillaz. That's actually, yeah, another artist. I think I have all the Gorillaz albums over there somewhere. Blood Meridian, a great and profoundly disturbing book. Yeah, it is so good. It is such a good book. I forgot how good it was. It's been so long since I've read it. I kind of want to read a passage. The language is so brilliant. This, I think, is one of the greatest works in the English language. It's so stunning. Like, the opening passages. It just hooks me right away. Yeah, nobody writes like Cormac McCarthy. Yeah, but like this is the opening 2 paragraphs of the book. See the child. He is pale and thin. He wears a thin and ragged linen shirt. He stokes the scullery fire. Outside lie dark-turned fields with rags of snow, and darker woods beyond that harbor yet a few last wolves. His folk are known for hewers of wood and drawers of water, but in truth his father has been a schoolmaster. He lies in drink. He quotes from poets whose names are now lost. The boy crouches by the fire and watches him. And then this one I love. The mother dead these 14 years did incubate in her own bosom the creature who would carry her off. The father never speaks her name. The child does not know it. He has a sister in this world that he will not see again. He watches, pale and unwashed. He can neither read nor write, and in him broods already a taste for mindless violence. All history, present in that visage, the child, the father of the man. God, nobody writes like him. Yeah. Just those sentences, man. What I wouldn't give to be the author of some of those sentences. The mother dead these 14 years did incubate in her own bosom the very creature that would carry her off. Wow. Now that's writing. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on Swiss Army Man. Yeah, we'll see what I think. And I'm excited for Alien Covenant, too. I've been hearing mixed things, but I'm just going to try and go into it. Just hoping for a good movie. You know, not expecting anything extraordinary, just, you know, with a very basic kind of expectation of just hoping I enjoy myself. If I get anything more than that, even better. But yeah, I hope I enjoy myself. Oh, talking about The Fall. Start with This Nation's Saving Grace, then Hex Induction Hour, then Perverted by Language. Yeah, Hex Induction Hour is a good one. That has Hip Priest on it. That's a great song. I'd love to read Blood Meridian, but the road fucked me up so hard. Yeah, and Blood Meridian will fuck you up even more. That's probably the most violent book I've ever read. It's very, very tough in some sections. I'd forgotten, too, like how brutal it was, but I'm getting to some passages that are just like, oh God. Just the senseless violence. But the language that McCarthy uses to describe it really, like, it kind of elevates it into something else, that it's not just violence. It's like, it's an expression of something. There's something very deep and profound to it. He really finds some kind of higher poetry to it in all the brutality. He's an amazing author, an absolutely amazing author. Yeah, The Road, so bleak. Kind of glad they left the baby roasting scene out of the film. Yeah, I don't think you could actually show that on screen. It's one thing to write about it, it's another thing to actually show something like that. And yeah, I don't know how many audiences would be willing to accept an image like that. I think that's why Blood Meridian still hasn't been adapted, even though so many people have tried. It's just, there are some images in there I just don't think you could get away with in a large-scale movie. McCarthy is great. What do you think of All the Pretty Horses? Saw it many years ago and it really stayed with me. I actually haven't seen All the Pretty Horses. It's another one I gotta check out. Oh, I take it you won't be seeing Alien Covenant in 3D. It was filmed in 3D. Okay, if it was filmed in 3D, I might see it in 3D. I'm not sure, though. We'll see. Ooh, Hard Candy. Yeah, Hard Candy gave me tension headaches and nightmares. Yeah, that's a brutal film. That's one of the most disturbing movies I've ever seen. Really well done. Yeah. The way they keep the tension going in that one and the suspense is... you probably won't ever see a more intense movie than that. That one's up there. Ever read The Room by Hubert Selby Jr.? That is one goddamn disturbing book, yet lacking the aforementioned poetry of a writer like McCarthy's grace and power. I haven't read any Hubert Selby Jr. yet. I own one of his books. I thought it was right there, but I guess not. Yeah, I own Last Exit to Brooklyn. Oh, it's over there. I haven't read it yet. It's one that's been on my shelf for a while, though. Hard Candy is absolutely masterful. Ellen Page is so good in it. Yeah, that's a tough role, too. To play like a teenage girl that actually... yeah, actually feels that threatening and I guess psychotic. I don't know. It's kind of ambiguous. Is she psychotic or not? Because obviously what she's doing has a very specific reason behind it. But I don't know. Yeah, she really pulled it off. She was pretty scary. It's really weird the way that, yeah, the movie emotionally turns the tables on you, because the Patrick Wilson character, if you think about it, is really not so sympathetic. But what he goes through, you actually sort of find yourself on his side and hoping he gets out of that. Yeah, it's really weird the way the movie plays with you like that. It's really well done. Oh yeah, I do love some revisionist westerns, so reading it will happen. Yeah, I think Blood Meridian, as challenging as it is to read, because, yeah, it uses a lot of archaic language, a lot of outdated terminology, and yeah, it's just relentlessly bleak and violent. But, yeah, there's something in it that is just insanely powerful. It's one of the best books I've ever read. There's something in there that really comes through all of that just stays with you for so long. Have you seen They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Bleak as hell. I haven't seen that one. That's the Jane Fonda movie. I haven't seen that one. I find Hard Candy to be really fun and entertaining. There's probably something wrong with me. Patrick Wilson was kind of brave for really playing against type in Hard Candy. Yeah, that's a tough role. Both of those roles were really tough. But yeah, those actors really pulled it off. Yeah, just as an exercise in suspenseful direction and really high tension performance. Yeah, that movie's kind of a masterpiece. Just in terms of acting, yeah, and directorial command over tone. It's really well done. Really, really well done. Oh, The Bridge. Yeah, The Bridge is a phenomenal German film showing war from the German side. Stunning on Criterion Blu-ray too. Yeah, I wrote that one down. That one's still on the list. But yeah, that'll hopefully be another one I can get around to one of these days. Hannibal. Yeah, Hannibal I've heard a lot about. Hannibal has the most beautiful photography I've ever seen on TV. It is gorgeous. Yeah, television's getting good. Television is getting really, really high quality. Have you seen Werner Herzog's Nosferatu the Vampire? I have. Yeah, not one of my favorite Herzog films, but yeah, a very interesting reimagining of the Nosferatu film. Yeah, Herzog's always got an interesting perspective that he presents. And yeah, Klaus Kinski is always a compelling performer. Have you seen the German film Victoria, which was all shot in one take? I really like that. Yeah, I like that too. It was interesting. I think when you do a film in just one single shot like that, it presents certain limitations, but it also has its strengths. Like, it gets really immersive, but I guess just in certain sections of trying to move from one place to another, trying to move from one plot point to the next plot point, it can be a little strained, it can be a little awkward, but I guess that's the challenge you accept when you do something really conceptual like that. We're going to do a thriller all in one shot, and we're going to accept, all the limitations that come with that, and all of the challenges. But yeah, it was really good. I thought they pulled it off really well. Love Herzog's Nosferatu. It was shown on Film 4 in the UK not so long back. I stayed up to watch it. Pulling a Scorsese then. Yeah, I wanna go back and rewatch a lot of Herzog's earlier stuff. It's been a while since I've seen it. I want to rewatch all the Kinski stuff. I wanna rewatch the Bruno S stuff, like Strotzek and The Enigma of Caspar Hauser. A lot of those early ones. It's been so long since I've seen them. I totally forgot to talk about it. This will be the last thing I talk about. I also just rewatched The Battle of Algiers. This is, Criterion Blu-ray I've had for a long time. I watched it on DVD, and I upgraded to the Blu-ray a while back. And I just finally watched it on Blu-ray. Great movie. Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about that one a little bit. It totally slipped my mind, though. Heart of Glass is one of his best. Yeah, another one I haven't seen in a long, long time. I recently rewatched all of Herzog's early films with his audio commentaries. So good. Yeah, Herzog, I think he's definitely one of the best at doing audio commentaries. He's one of those ones I could just listen to him talk for hours. He's one of those ones that's so fascinating. Such a unique mind, such a unique way of looking at things. Yeah, any Herzog audio commentary is always going to be good. Those scenes at the beginning of Victoria, when she's getting to know the guys, you're not sure of their intentions. They turn out to be really cool guys. I mean, not like sex predators or anything. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I thought it was interesting the way it progressed. Yeah, and that's definitely very challenging when you're doing it the direction that story goes and what it puts the characters through, of having to progress in real time like that. That's definitely challenging to make it believable. Oh, and they're goofing around, stealing beer. Victoria is so desperate for company, but guileless and innocent. Victoria made me nauseous when I saw it at the theater, but I'm going to watch it one more time without shoving a big dinner meal into my mouth before watching it. Yeah, I guess I'm lucky. I don't tend to get, I don't know if it was motion sickness, but I don't tend to get motion sick when I watch movies. There was one time when I did, and that was when I saw Gaspar Noé's Love in 3D. Most of that movie is done like with static camera or with very stable images. There's one section in that movie though where it's done from the perspective of like a little digital camcorder, and the image suddenly gets very unstable. I think that was the only time I've ever felt kind of sick, kind of nauseous in a theater. I had to take the glasses off for a second. That's, I think, the only time it's happened, though. Oh, her acceptance of these strangers was really touching to me for some reason. Yeah, I guess it goes back to, like, Sightseers, what that story was trying to explore, just of how desperate people can be for connection. And I guess just for kinship sometimes. That you're willing to overlook a lot just for that feeling of intimacy with another human being. Yeah, it's bizarre. There are even like a lot of like true stories. I wouldn't be surprised if Sightseers was loosely based on a true story, because yeah, human beings are an interesting bunch. Are an interesting bunch. Sometimes we get so desperate for connection, it can take us to really extreme places. One of my favorite videos is Herzog talking about the stupidity of chickens. Yeah, always good to listen to Herzog. He has a phobia of chickens, of all things. I guess that's why they tend to pop up in his movies so often. Oh, there's a great German film with the male lead from Victoria, the blonde guy who falls for her. It's kind of like If, in some ways. Forgotten the name of it. If's a really good one. The Lindsay Anderson movie with Malcolm McDowell. That's a really good one. Herzog Eats His Shoe is a good one also. That it is. Yeah, that's what convinced Errol Morris to get into filmmaking. He'd... oh gosh, what was it? I think Errol Morris was trying to make this... it was sort of like The Thin Blue Line. He was trying to make this movie about this guy that he felt had been wrongfully imprisoned. It wasn't the same subject as Thin Blue Line. It was something else. And he spent like years researching it and putting stuff together, and he finally hit like a dead end, I guess, and had to abandon the movie. And then he was going to give up on his dream of becoming a filmmaker. And then he saw the article that led to Gates of Heaven, his first movie. But he'd been so discouraged by the experience doing the previous documentary that he thought, like, what's the point? Why even try? Like, it's just going to end up like dead on arrival, just like the last one. And he was feeling really depressed and discouraged. And then, yeah, Herzog said, like, no, you've got to do this. You have a duty to be a filmmaker. And said, yeah, if you make this movie, I'll eat my shoe. And Errol Morris made the movie, and Herzog was as good as his word. He ate his shoe. It's inspiring what friends will do for friends. I wish I had a friend like that. But no, I've got some good friends. Ooh, I'm in Herzog's online masterclass, one of the best storytellers and mentors ever. That would be really cool. I would love to take a masterclass with Herzog. One of my best friends is a Lindsay Anderson completist. He even sought out Rachel Roberts' autobiography. He loves Lindsay Anderson so much. So I've seen all his films, his shorts, everything. I think I've only seen one of his movies. I think If is the only one that I've seen. I'd like to see others. Like, I'd like to see Oh Lucky Man. And what was that other one he did? Britannia Hospital, I think it's called. Yeah, I think If is the only one so far that I've seen. But I'd really like to see more. You a fan of Rainer Werner Fassbinder? Yes, I am. He's sort of a creative inspiration for me. Yeah, I find it amazing and inspiring. It's sort of a cautionary tale of not like working yourself too much and burning out too quickly, but I do find it inspiring that like in a 15-year span he directed like 40 feature films. That's astonishing to me. and wrote all these scripts and like did plays and television movies and acted in other films. Like, the amount of work he was able to do in such a short span of time is amazing to me. I would love to be able to do that. But as he showed, you can't really be that prolific and come out the other end okay. Yeah, he essentially worked himself to death. Really sad, but yeah, he left a huge body of work. Which I guess is what you want to do if you're an artist. Leave behind something that's gonna last. That's what I'd hope to do. Oh Lucky Man is great. An acquired taste, though. Yeah, I saw the Malcolm McDowell documentary, Oh Lucky Malcolm. Yeah, they talk a lot about that one. He talks a lot about his collaborations with Lindsay Anderson, too. So that's kind of where most of my familiarity with him comes from. But I really haven't seen many of his films. Just the one, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, his stuff is kind of hard to find in the U.S. He's I think he's a fairly obscure filmmaker here. I think we'll probably bring this stream to a close about now. I didn't even really get to talk about Battle of Algiers, but that's okay. Maybe I can talk about it next week. Let's see. Any Fassbender recommendations? Watched World on a Wire, and the film about the love story between the older lady and the Moroccan immigrant, which I enjoyed. Couldn't see the fuss about World, though. I liked World on a Wire. I don't think it's one of his best, but I did like that one. And yeah, the other one you're talking about, Ali, Fear Eats the Soul, that's probably his best movie. Yeah, Ali, Fear Eats the Soul, yeah, that's probably his best. But other good ones, I think Fox and His Friends is really good. That's Fox and His Friends. I think that's a really good one. I remember really liking that one. And another one of his most popular ones is The Marriage of Maria Braun. That wasn't one of my favorites, but yeah, it's kind of one. It's one that had I think a huge amount of influence. Was a really big film in the new German cinema at the time. So it's kind of an essential one to view just for historical purposes. God, my voice is giving out. I might have to bring this to a close. Oh, Berlin Alexanderplatz, yeah. 15 hours long. I think that one still holds the record for the longest theatrically released film ever. And I think it was made for TV, but it did actually end up playing in theaters. So I think it holds the record for the longest film ever released. Oh yeah, Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, all shot in one room. Yeah, those are all good ones. I haven't seen Berlin Alexanderplatz, though. That's one I've been wanting to see for the longest time. Yeah, another reason to get Filmstruck, I guess, because I think it's up there. It might be. I'm not sure, but yeah, I want to see it. But anyways, yeah, I think I should probably bring this stream to a close now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Hope you all had a good time. I did. I always enjoy doing these. And yeah, should be doing another one next Saturday. Hopefully I'll be talking about Alien Covenant and perhaps Swiss Army Man. That I might I'll have to try and make sure I watch that one over this next week. And yeah, I guess subscribe if you haven't already. Like the videos, leave a comments, all the usual stuff. And I guess I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.